Hello, I am Shelly. I work with Nividous and manage its marketing initiatives. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar on how all chemical Nividous customer automates its sales order creation process using Nividous platform. Now, let me share a few housekeeping items before we begin the presentation. If you find any difficulty with audio or video, you can post your queries using the chat window. You can use the question window to share your questions related to the webinar. We will address those at the end of the session. And if we run out of time, we will reach out via an email with our answers. Now, let me share a little background of the Nividous company, and then I will turn it over to our speakers. So Nividous has been around since 2011. Our aim is to help businesses work at their peak efficiency with our intelligent automation platform. One of the key differentiators of the platform is that we have RPA, AI, and BPM capabilities natively developed within the platform. And this has enabled us to successfully help our customers meet their end-to-end automation needs. We are also being recognized for our work by leading industry analysts across the globe. So that was a brief overview of the Nividous company. Now let me invite Alan Hester, President of Nividous, to begin the talk. Welcome, Alan. Over to you.
Thanks, Shaylee. So today we're going to primarily focus on all chemical, and Anthony will dive into that in just a few minutes. But I wanted to take a few minutes up front here to make sure that we're all on the same page regarding what we're talking about. So before we get into any of the content, let me just put up a quick poll and see where our audience currently is regarding the use of robotic process automation, or really any automation in your business. So we have 4 choices there for you to pick from. Just pick whatever's closest. If none of them's an exact fit, either we're currently running something in production, or we're currently working on a pilot or POC, we're planning to explore it in the next 12 months, or we don't really care, or maybe we've never even heard about any of this before. I'll just leave this open for a few minutes because this will give me some idea how much detail I need to go into on the background of what we're talking about. Either way, I will give kind of a high level view of it. It looks like that most people are in the planning to explore it in the next 12 months category. So that's good. So if you're planning to explore it, you probably already know at least a little bit about it. So we'll start off talking about robotic process automation in general. And one of the things that I like to throw out there right away is that we're not talking about physical robots that are like what you would see on a movie or on a production line, where bots are grabbing things and assembling them, or touching a keyboard and a mouse and doing things like that. We're not talking about anything like that. These are not physical robots. These are software-based robots that are running on a computer, and they're doing work on systems in the same way that a human would normally do it. So this is just a way to take those manual, repetitive, and time-consuming tasks off of a person's plate so that they're able to work on higher value tasks. And as long as those actions that a human would be taking are following a certain set of rules that you can train the bot on, then the bot is able to do all of that work that the human would normally be doing. And you don't require any knowledge of a programming language or any really deep technical skills. It just takes someone who's pretty technical and also understands how the process works to build and maintain something like this. So moving forward from there, let's just take a look at what are some of the sweet spots for this kind of technology. Where is this most commonly used? We already talked about that It's good for repetitive tasks, things that you're doing over and over again. These are the kinds of things that if a person is doing it, it's going to become really boring. Not only is it wasting their time, but when a person is doing the same thing over and over again, they tend to not pay that close of attention, and there's a possibility of there being errors and problems because of that. And so when you can get that work done by a bot instead, the bot's going to do the work the same way every time. The other place where this is really great is when there is integration between systems required. So this could be your internal systems. Maybe you have some kind of homemade systems that were developed in your company in the past sometime, or maybe you're working with a lot of external systems that you purchase from a vendor, or maybe even online platforms that you're using. All of those different things typically are not well integrated with each other, and so this technology can be really good for being able to get those systems to work together, and especially from the standpoint of data. So most of the other points that we see on this sheet are related to data, because when you're trying to run your business, you're using data to manage it, right? And you don't always have access to the data that you need. Maybe it doesn't exist. Sometimes your processes are not well documented. They're really more ad hoc. And so no one is keeping track of who is doing what and how long it is taking them. And so by automating those kinds of things, you suddenly have a record of what's being done and data that's being created that can then be reported on. And all of those different systems that play some role in this are going to be able to create data, as well as any human actions that are part of the process as well, so that all of that data can be reported on together, and you can develop dashboards and things like that that you can use in order to manage your business. The one other area that I'll just highlight quickly is if you're in a business where there are a lot of compliance concerns, or you have a lot of regulations in your industry, this is a great technology, because you get an audit trail created for free. So everything that's done is documented: who did it, when they did it, when it started, when it ended, how long it took, and all of those things are really great for issues where you're needing to show compliance. So one other thing that I'll just point out, we were talking about automation from the standpoint of using an RPA tool alone, but we've seen a lot of improvements lately with artificial intelligence that makes it possible to do even more with these automation technologies than what RPA can do alone. So if you look at other vendors that are out there in this space, and they're promoting their RPA tools, they may talk about doing things like orchestration, where they're able to coordinate the tasks of multiple bots and things like that. Well, there's a whole new term to cover this called hyper automation, that's really combining the RPA technology with artificial intelligence technologies and some other technologies as well, to make the overall offering much more useful for companies, so that more processes can be automated, they can be done more quickly, more accurately, and the overall experience is better for everyone. So one last thing before I turn this over to Anthony is just to indicate how quickly growth is happening in this space. So this is from a Deloitte report, and you could see that RPA is on this exponential growth curve for what they call doing companies. These are the companies that are really becoming successful and growing their businesses rapidly. And so this is one of those technologies that is really an enabler for growth. And one of the reasons for that is that in many businesses, as you grow your revenue, you have to grow your footprint from the standpoint of people proportionally to the amount of revenue that you want to grow. And that can be a limiting factor. Well, when you use automation technologies like this, you're able to do much more with adding less people because you can get the bots to do a lot of the work for you. And the great thing with bots is that they don't require retraining, so that they can switch from one task to another easily. And once they're trained, they're trained. That's it. They're going to do the work perfectly every time. So that's just kind of a high level view of what the technologies are that we're going to be talking about. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Anthony from All Chemical, who's going to walk you first through some of what's happening in the logistics industry in general, and then specifically what's happening within his company, All Chemical. Over to you, Anthony.
All right, thanks, Alan, and good afternoon to everybody. As Alan mentioned, the automation has become critical, at least the opportunity to do so. And for our company, we were looking at our processes as a whole. As a company, we were working with an outside consultant, and that's where we were referred to Nividous and the technology as a whole. But just to talk a little bit about the industry as a whole, up on the screen you can see here, one of the biggest factors that we have is ensuring that we have good information going to our driver force as they leave our terminals. Anybody who's operating in this industry knows that there's a significant driver shortage. There's a significant crunch on capacity. And so we're trying to get as many loads, as many movements done as possible. And one of the best ways to do that is to have good information so that you're not wasting resources. As far as customer service, one of the things that this technology has allowed us to do is to free up our existing staff, as Alan mentioned. Our staff is doing more interaction with the customer, more of the tasks that we need to have done, as opposed to repetitive tasks that have to be completed, which has been, again, beneficial. As far as sustainability, again, as Alan mentioned already, the technologies, as we've been able to utilize them, have allowed us to build processes that are scalable for growth, and are long-term going to be in place working with our customers. Alan, if you want to skip over to the next slide, please. And really, key drivers that logistics need to survive. We, as I mentioned before, the biggest thing is just information, having good information go out. That way, that truck can leave that warehouse with the right goods at the right time, going to the right place when you need it. Alan, if you want to skip over. Here are some of the areas I know that we're looking at in terms of our company, but certain areas where the RPA technology, we're looking at all of these internally. As far as our finance, one of the things that we'll talk about as far as our next steps is looking at the accounting aspect and having collections automated. Sales and marketing, being able to have status updates go to our customers, to be able to automate the invoice and the invoice auditing process. Scheduling, being able to confirm schedules and have customers reply back to us that our schedules are confirmed. There's a lot of opportunity. And one of the things that I learned just with starting this process is that once you start the process, once you look at some of the opportunities that are there, you just continue to see different areas that this can help improve your situations at your companies. So a little bit about All Chemical. We are a transportation company. We're a liquid bulk transporter of hazardous and non-hazardous chemicals. We operate out of Lakewood, New Jersey, and have terminals across several states. We are known in our industry and our segment for having a very strong customer service background, very much paying attention to detail. We do a lot of specialty type movements, specialty type chemicals. And really what we want to do is put our best foot forward and make sure that our customers, the public at large on the highways that we travel on every day, that we're doing the right thing. As it says here, we offer multiple type of tankers in our space. We are expanding into overseas containers at this time. And again, this technology is allowing us to scale and to be able to do that with the same human capital that we have in place. Alan, if you want to skip to the next slide. So the first area that we explored with the bot technologies is the automation of our sales order creation. So we have approximately 70 customers total, of which 10 customers make up the bulk of our revenue. And one of the things that happens is that those customers send us over orders, and we have to key them into our system so that our system can do its process and generate paperwork going out to our drivers. And it is time consuming. There is as it says here, high risk of human errors. One of the products that we deal with is kosher certified products. So simply making a mistake of categorizing a chemical as kosher versus non-kosher, it could be the exact same product, but that designation has a significant effect on how that's going to be handled. So it's important to us to have, it's critical to have this information correct. And one of the challenges that we have is it's very difficult to explain some of these concepts to somebody who's not familiar with the industry. And so the learning curve to be able to move forward is significant in our customer service roles. One of the things that this bot process allowed us to do is to still maintain the ability to determine what orders we were going to take. We didn't have the bot take over from the first step, but what we did is after an order was accepted, it would get forwarded to an email address internally. And at that point, that would trigger the response by this bot to input, process. It printed all of our backup paperwork in electronic format. So it saved us a lot of time, but also it helped to enhance some of our existing processes to be able to continue to grow and to have good processes in place. As you can see on the bottom, there's some rough statistics. As far as our manual efforts, as I said, we were able to achieve our top 80% of revenue to reduce those inputs, and the volume that these customers are handling. It gives us the opportunity to be able to continue to take that work and focus on those customer service aspects that we need to spend more time on. Alan, if you want to go to the next, the demo. So as you can see on the screen, this is a demo video from when we were first doing our testing on the bot system. And what we did is, this is the process to add a new customer. It's an Excel format. It's easy to read, easy to use, and a user would keystroke that information into the Excel document. As you can see on the screen, this is the process to activate the bot to start its process, and you can schedule that either on demand, daily, weekly, monthly, depending on what the scenario calls for. And this bot right now in the background has opened our system. It's going into our customer master file, and it's going to initiate starting the process. And you'll see with red highlights where it's actually clicking on the screen. And again, there's no physical person clicking, but it's replicating the same efforts that a person would be clicking if they were doing this task manually. One of the challenges with anything in our system is making sure you have the correct fields populated, and that again, this bot allows us to program, design, and ensure that those fields are being populated correctly. And the nice thing is that as Alan said, once the bot's trained, you don't have to worry about any of the challenges that you have with human capital. The bot doesn't take vacation. The bot doesn't have payroll taxes. It's it's nice to know that you have that continuity in place with these processes.
So one other thing that I'll point out while this is going is that when you see a system like this, a lot of times older systems or web-based systems, you have scenarios where you don't know how responsive it's going to be. Sometimes it might be fast, sometimes it might be slow. The way our platform is built, it will handle all of those weights that are necessary automatically. So you don't have to build in wait times for the system to respond. It will just automatically take care of things like that for you. Sorry, Anthony, just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah, no, that's no problem. Thank you. So you'll see in this scenario, we were testing, this was part of the initial testing, and it's receiving the prompts from within the CSI system as far as what fields are missing. At this point, this would be a physical user that's reviewing the report that's being generated by the system, and this is going right into our secondary process for adding sales orders. This email that's on the screen now is a report that's generated directly by the bot to ensure that the data being put in, it allows the user to verify that the information is correct. If it's not correct, a user can view this information, correct any changes on the spreadsheet, and submit that for processing. And you'll see where the mouse is now in AI column, status, pass, and fail. It's giving you clear indicators of the information and how it's being processed, as well as the error messages in the next column. Hey, Alan, just in the interest of time, if you want to skip over to the second demo, that goes into much greater detail of the sales order process. Okay, so our bot is the initial trigger for the bot to take action is if it's showing unread emails within a designated email address that is designed for this process. The bot, as its process, would not be checking Outlook specifically, but it is reading that there are unread emails through a connection. You could see as these screens are changing and information is being input, this is all being interpreted off of a sales order. And The other nice thing about this system is you'll notice that the gallons were populated. Certain customers specific to our segment don't specify on an initial order. And what you're able to do is in those instances, you're able to build parameters within the bot on how to handle those. So they don't flag as exceptions. The information's still being put in, and it's being put in a way that would be interpreted and analyzed and handled by a user, a physical user that's familiar with the system. This is picking up again off of the sales order, all the specific pickup information, customer reference numbers. It's now verified the order. Specific to our processes, it's updating this order into our dispatch portal so that our dispatchers are aware of the upcoming loads for a particular day, week, month. And as this order is being brought up by the bot, again, automatically, no human intervention, the processes are then going to print all of the backup paperwork and save that as one electronic file. And as I mentioned before, in our case, having the secondary backup location, that was an added benefit of having the information prepared in the first place, because it allowed us to have an external source of that data outside of this software in the event of any kind of internet outages or power loss, any of those issues. We're able to retrieve it from an external source of the system, so that way, if there are any concerns, we're able to have that business continuity. We're able to have everything already prepared. Excuse me, at the time of data entry. Again, you'll see an Excel document. This is showing the status again of the orders that were put in. The status on some of these is showing as fail. Again, this was early on in the testing process. And again, you're able to make the changes directly onto this worksheet. And that top row of data is that's the order entry that we were just viewing on the screen. And here is all of the backup going into the folder that we specifically designated. And you'll see it's highlighting the order number. One of the things that we had added was the order number on the order itself. This is the customer sales order. This is an order summary, which provides details for our drivers as far as different items with the location, and then the bill of lading report. Again, all with the numbers printed on them, all in one one PDF file, so that we're able to access it very quickly and as a backup. So Alan, if you want to skip to the next slide. And as I mentioned, one of the things that happened with our company is that once we saw how successful we were able to identify other processes. And I mentioned these already, but the amount of opportunity is exceptional at what you can change and what you're able to do with this. And working with the staff at Nividous, they're able to advise us and be able to make the processes work for us.
Okay, great, Anthony. Thank you very much for your explanation of what you have gone through at All Chemical. It's I think it's been really helpful to people who maybe have similar issues that they're facing, and maybe they can get a sense for how this technology might be able to help them too. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through. Usually I do a little description of our platform and the different components. I'm not going to do that. We also have a quick start offering available. That's a great way for companies to get started in this kind of technology. If you don't really know where to get started, this is a great way to do it, because the first step is that we'll help you with a workshop to figure out where is the best place to start. And the best thing about it is that it's fairly inexpensive. There's a really quick ROI that's tangible that you can see. And the whole process is fairly low risk for you as a way to try something like this out. So at this point, I'll turn things back over to Shaylee and we can wrap it up.
All right. Thank you, Anthony and Alan, for such an informative session. I hope everyone enjoyed the session and found it informative. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at contact@nividous.com, and we will answer the questions as soon as possible within a day. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you.